Hey guys, Twiggy here. Just want to make a quick video on a couple different methods for slaving the TADS around to various different acquisition sources, such as waypoints, target points, and both the co-pilot gunner and pilot helmet sights. These methods can be very useful for quickly spotting targets and acquiring them, especially the visual helmet sight modes. And even storing your targets to recall them at a later time, such as when you're in range for firing off missiles. So let's start with the waypoint and target point method. This was covered in Wags' videos on how to use the Hellfires, but I'd just like to go over it again here to keep everything in one video. There are a couple prerequisite things you'll need to do beforehand. First thing we'll need to do is go up to the armament panel here and arm our weapons. Next thing we'll want to do is in the weapon page, we want to go into utility and just verify our laser is active as indicated by this solid green circle. We'll also want to go into our TADS page and switch over to the attack phase, as the methods we'll be using to create these target points, they need to be in the attack phase. Otherwise, if you're in the navigation phase, when you go to store these points, they'll be stored as waypoints instead, which we obviously don't want. So with all that set up, we can go ahead and look at our TADS here. Right now, the TADS is using the fixed acquisition source, so that is essentially bore-sighted. It's looking up at the sky. And what we will want to do is using the sight select switches, or the sight select hat, we will want to go ahead and verify that we have TADS selected. With TADS selected, you can go back over to the TSD, and using the R6 button we can switch this acquisition source to our waypoint. When we select R6 for the first time, it'll pop out this acquisition pop-up menu, and we are looking for B5 here, which right now is the white question mark 00. I'm going to go ahead and click that. And by default, it'll drop you into the targets and threats page, which we'll come back to, but right now we're interested in setting it to our waypoint, which has targets nearby. So we'll go over to the waypoint page, and in my case, I'm going to be selecting waypoint 2, as that's where I know I have targets at. So now waypoint 2 is our acquisition source. I'm going to go ahead and press my slave button, and that'll slave the TADS over to that waypoint. I'm going to unslave the TADS so I can now manipulate the TADS manually and locate my targets. So, as you can see here, I have a couple trucks parked along the edge of this runway. Let's say I want to store this truck here into my TADS, or into my TSD, for a target point so I can recall it at a later time. So I'm going to aim the crosshair basically at the base of the truck. I'm going to go ahead and fire a short laser burst at it, as indicated by the cross that pops over the crosshair. And now I can go ahead and press my store button. And if you look on the TSD, I've created a target point. So, say I am scouting out other things and I need to recall that target. I'm going to go over to my TSD. Under the acquisition button again, I will press that. I'm going to press the B5 again, which is currently set as waypoint 2. It dropped me into the waypoints and hazards page. I'm going to click coordinate to go to the targets and threats and select that target I created. Now, same thing as last time. I'm just going to press my slave button, and the TADS slaved over to that laser designated spot I created earlier. So pretty quick once you get the hang of the routine, and very useful for if you want to sit outside of the range of the targets, pick out what ones you want to prioritize, and then move inside the range of your hellfires and engage that way. I'm going to go ahead and switch this back to fixed just so we can start from the same spot again. And the other method I'd like to show is the slaving to the co-pilot gunner and pilot helmet sights. So this is pretty straightforward. I'm going to go ahead and unfreeze my track IR, so the screen's going to jump here. There we go. And I am also going to enable my monocle, which is going to show bright green since I have the TADS as my sight still, and it's pretty much just pointed at the sky. So say off our 10 o'clock here, we have these buildings that I want to slave my TADS over to look at further, lock up targets, storm, etc. So what we're going to do is same thing as creating those waypoints. I'm going to click our acquisition source, switch it to gunner helmet sight. Now, if I press my slave button, TADS slaves to where I am looking. So I can use that. And it kind of takes a little bit of getting used to it first. I can slave over to those buildings and unslave and drop my TADS there. So now with that, I can turn off my monocle, fine tune where I want the TADS to be looking, blaze, store, or fire upon them if needed. It's pretty quick. And same thing with the pilot sight. You just go over to your acquisition source on your TSD, select PHS for pilot helmet sight, and press your slave key. I'm using George right now, so he is staring straight down at the ground, but you get the idea. That way, if the pilot sees something that you don't, he can just stare at it while you slave your TADS via the his acquisition source, and quickly find what he's looking at. So those are the few methods I just wanted to show. Hopefully it helps you guys out a bit. I know it helped me out a lot as far as being able to acquire things. Yeah, if you like this, feel free to like and comment, and I'll see you guys next time.